Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is that you're listening
or watching
this latest episode of TurfCast podcast with me, Joe Redmond, and my good friend, Simon Townley. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Oh, very well, mate. What an entertaining week. Inside the football world, but outside of off the pitch.
Yeah, not the most entertaining of results. And the game were all right against United, to be fair, but not the most entertaining results. But yeah, off the pitch, of course. We'll get into the European Super League. But yeah, incredibly entertaining. And thankfully, the result that we wanted in the end from that, at least.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into it, like you're saying. But, I mean, probably be one of them things in pub quizzes in years to come. Like, what game was going on when the Super League was announced? Burnley versus Man United.
Potentially, yeah. There was only one Premier League game at the time. What was it? It's interesting that, isn't it? Harry Maguire and that they were a bit pissed off, weren't they? Because they weren't told about it, and they were out on the pitch playing when it were announced. And apparently, it was involving them, and then they got stuck with a few questions with it in the post match. I bet they were fuming. I bet Maguire and that were absolutely fuming. You would be, wouldn't you?
Oh, massively. It was funny because I was listening to Pep before this match behind me, and he said, "Oh, I've told you what I think about yesterday." And then question 2 was about the same thing, and question 3 was about the same thing, and he kept just saying like, "Yeah, no, I'm not. I've mentioned it talked about it yesterday." And I'm thinking this reporter's got no contingency whatsoever. He's just based all his questions on the pre-match on "Are you happy or not?" And he weren't for answering it. But yeah, you'd be pissed off if you're thrown under the bus and you don't even have a preparation for it.
Yeah, and it seems like every single player and manager from the top 6 and the 3 Spanish and 3 Italians were thrown under the bus as well. But like I said, we'll get on to that. We haven't done all the niceties anyway. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, done. I think we have. You did ask me that.
Did I?
Yeah, and then I said,
what have you been up to this week? Sorry. Yeah, I didn't ask you that then, have I? There you go.
I've been doing my little shed/office studio thing up at the minute. That's good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, you're building you built a shed, big shed in your back garden that you're going to turn into like an office studio vibe.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a lot. It's just an expensive little shed, basically.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Yeah. Well, obviously we've both been busy away from the podcast. Thankfully I've now done what I was doing and it's all a bit calmed down now. But then after that calmed down, which basically I think I said before, I was sort of like trying to do a house up to rent it out. That's finally rented out and I have a tenant in it. But now, ever since the day that they moved in, I've been working every single day. So I just want a day off. I've got a day off. I've got a few days off soon, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So hopefully we can have a day off. But like I said, busy times. Yeah, watch along Sunday. Kieran's back though. So Simon's going to be fuming. Yeah, my dad has I can't remember the lad's name. The lad from Complete Home Furniture, Dave, innit?
Dave.
Complete Home Furniture. If you want, I ain't got the sound behind me today, Dave. If you're watching or listening, unfortunately, for those that are watching on the VODCAST, by the way, you will have noticed a bit of a change of scenery. Basically, it's because we're recording at 10 o'clock at night because me and Simon were both too busy. Everyone in this house, apart from me, is asleep. So I can't do it upstairs in the office because it's next door to the bedroom. And obviously the little boy will hear me as well because it's just down the hallway. And I can't do it in the kitchen because it's a mess. And I don't fancy tidying it at 10 o'clock at night.
Do you know what you need? An office, garden, studio, shed.
Well, we've had this discussion, haven't we? I said I'd like one, but I technically have the space here to not have to spend 10 grand on doing it. But for some reason, I still find myself fucking shoved into like corners and on settees and stuff, even though I've got the space. But that's a different debate. But anyway, let's get into it then. Oh, yes. Good point. Literally a good point if you're watching on the podcast. We are, of course, sponsored by Pitch Sports. It is on the bottom of your screen now if you're watching on Facebook on Friday evening or YouTube, whenever you want at your leisure. We are, as I said, sponsored by Pitch Sports. It is a fan hub app. It is available in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store, and is available across the UK and Ireland. So if you haven't downloaded it already, please go and do that now. Pause the podcast. Do it now. We'll wait. Right, welcome back. Thank you for downloading Pitch Sport. Anyway, let's get into it then. Manchester United 3, Burnley 1. It wasn't the result we wanted. But it was one of them games where you go into it and you obviously we've had a good record at Old Trafford in the last few years or so, but they seem to be a better side this year. We seem to be a worse side this year. So we're all kind of like just expecting it, weren't we, to go into that game and get beat. But we did a good account of ourselves, to be fair. We played really well. Obviously got the goal through James Tarkowski and another assist from a Westy corner. And in the end, we were unfortunate to lose because it was a deflected second goal, wasn't it? And then the third goal is just because of the game's opened up and we've tried to equalise, so you can kind of discount that anyway. But without that deflected finish, it could have easily been 1-1, and then the gap to Fulham would have been back down to 7 points after their point earlier on Sunday. So a disappointing result, but decent performance and a good account of ourselves.
Yeah, I think. These were my feelings, but I read it on Twitter, and I think. It's worth a shout out that Stephen Wilson said it on Twitter that he's never been so I can't remember the wording exactly, but he's never been as happy with a performance in a 3-1 defeat before as a Burnley fan, and I can't really disagree with that. I've got to echo it to its max because it was never a game that, I don't know, it was entertaining, weren't it? Like we did attack. Well, 4-5-1, let's not forget. So it's a completely different formation than we played in Dash in a season and a half nearly. I don't think it's been since we played a 4-5-1. And it was impressive, mate. Wood played incredible. It's worth a shout.
Wood was class leading line.
He was. I thought he'd be isolated. I thought he'd be redundant up there on his own. But genuinely, probably played the best hold-up play I've seen him play at Burnley Football Club. He was brilliant. Link-up play, everything. But then they got the goal, like you said. Tarky with a powerhouse of an header, but like you said, Westy's set piece, mate. It's all about
Westy's. That's why Westy's probably one of the first midfielders on the team sheet because he did. His set pieces are so good, Westy, and obviously he's good in open play as well. I think the three worked. I think the three. We've had a few issues in midfield recently. We've had this big debate about should we have Westy, Cork, or Westy Brownhill, or Cork and Brownhill, and then Brownhill had some absolutely worldy games. And then Brownhill's had some quiet games, to be fair. Like, for all the praise I give him on here, I'm more than happy to say that he was poor recently. But even I thought Brownhill, all three of them played well in the middle. And I think the reason why we all thought that Chris Wood were going to be isolated up there is because when he's played up there on his own before, in a 4-5-1, he has been isolated. It weren't really a reflection on what we thought of him or his game or anything like that. But I think that 4-5-1 works when you're playing some decent wingers, because you've got, instead of like having Hendrick and somebody else on the left, you've got Goodmanson and McNeil. So them two can actually get forward. And I think when we had the ball and we were wanting to go forward, it were quickly turning into sort of like 4-3-3. Brownhill were playing in sort of like a deep role as well when we didn't have the ball, when it was like a 4-1-4-1 sort of thing. So it was quite flexible and good to see. And I think the fact that we had, like I said, McNeil and JBG on the wings helped massively because we were able to get forward and we were able to not have Wood as isolated as a 4-5-1 would usually have him.
Yeah, it were good. Like you said, it was probably the link-up play made it a 4-4-3-3, sorry, because he gave the options to wingers to come forward. It wasn't just a long ball, which is credit to the wing-backs that were playing if they were theoretically becoming wing-backs. Their delivery into Chris was obviously bang on because he pretty much won everything. And he can't win it if you're pumping it down the channels and expecting him to
have
a race all the time. So, yeah, no, it was a good team performance, mate. And then going on to their second goal, I mean, that shit shouldn't happen, but it does, unfortunately, when you're against teams like United because they are going to shoot more. But normally that shit doesn't happen at Burnley. We're quite solid. We're quite rigid at the back. Little deflections like that go in are just heartbreaking. So unfortunate, and you nailed it, mate. The third goal never happens, but
yeah, you can discount that.
He was good. Fair play to Cavani. He changed the game, mate.
Yeah, to say he's the wrong side of 30 odd. He's still a decent striker. He's a very, very good finisher, and it's a shame that it's taken him so long to get to the Premier League. I'd like to see Cavani in the Premier League 5-6 years ago instead of wasting himself in a Farmers League. But so what do you want to do then with this sort of like 4-5-1 personally? Do you think we should keep that shape? Because I I thought we played that well against Man United, and let's not forget Man United are second in league now, and we've lost to them twice this season through 2 deflected goals. Obviously, Pogba's deflected goal at the Turf earlier in the season, and again this weekend at Old Trafford. So we could have easily picked up 2 points of that, and I think this time with the 4-5-1, after the problems that we've had with the midfield not protecting the defence in the Newcastle and Southampton games, it was good to see some actual, we looked solid at the back. We haven't looked solid at the back for a while, and we looked okay going forward again. So I think it makes sense to play it against Wolves this weekend.
Yeah, it would. I mean, it's hard to say like, 4-4-2 is dead when we've had recent success with it, finishing 7th, for example, only 2 years ago. But yeah, no, I do think that if you want to play certain games against certain teams that are going to put a press on, a 4-3-3 does give you the 4-3-3 or the 4-5-1, whichever you're laying in. It gives you more of a diamond in attacking, and it gives you a better press. I think Jack Cork, his experience, gives Brownhill a bit more sort of freedom to do run around and do the dog work and stuff. I think they complement each other with Westy in there, because I don't know, I just enjoy all 3 of them, and it's difficult to pick a 2 out of them, and we've said this before in previous podcasts. So I would like to see a 4-5-1, but it's one of them ones that I probably wouldn't like to see it at home against Brighton, for example. I'd want to see us going a bit more at it, like the 4-4-2, for example, with Vidra up top has created so many chances at the minute. I wouldn't want to necessarily step back away from that, but 4-5-1 turning into a 4-3-3 is definitely the future of where we can be, especially away from home and stuff like that.
Yeah, you mentioned Vidra. Unfortunate to miss out, really. He has been playing well recently, but I think he would have been isolated in that role. Obviously, I'm sure would have adapted to Vidra's style. We'd have been more likely to pump it down the wings for him to chase it if we had Vidra up top, which is probably why we didn't play him, because we didn't really want to get into that battle. But again, you could probably play Vidra in that sort of role against the lesser sides. But again, I think you're more likely to play 4-4-2 because Wood and Vids have been creating so much together recently. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that he can probably feel a little bit disheartened to miss out, especially after he's been playing so well. And there was an article in The Athletic this week by, of course, friend of the podcast, Andy Jones, the Burnley reporter at The Athletic, sort of like saying how Vidra had a meeting with Daesh and all that sort of stuff, and he was working on the things that Daesh was telling him rather than being moody and things like that about it, like he has been or may have been recently. But I think it's fair to say he was unfortunately left out, but can kind of see why. Well, we can as fans anyway.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because defensively, I thought our shit were brilliant, mate. Like the 4 at the back ended up being hunting in 3s on the wings. Like every time that Greenwood or Rashford got wide, there would be 3 of them constantly marking the pass lane and one putting on a press. And it worked amazingly well, but we still conceded 3 goals, even though we played so well defensively. So it is a little bit deflating, but can you not just take your hat off sometimes to the quality of the opposition?
Yeah, I think, or the quality of the opposition, should I say? You could definitely see that in the 3rd goal. It was such a slick move and stuff.
Yeah.
But if we were being Burnley and sitting back because it was still 1-1, with that, like I said, I don't think that 3rd goal happens. But I think the signs are there. Obviously, 3 defeats in a row now can very quickly become 4 and then into Fulham. And then if it becomes 5 after that Fulham game, then we could be up the proverbial creek without a paddle. But I think we play like that against. Yeah,
and then we go to play.
I think that you play that performance against Wolves. I think you're coming away with a point minimum.
Do you know what? There's this thing with Wolves, isn't there? It's like I know we drove them mad last year, and we made Pedence have a social media meltdown, which was incredible. I unfollowed him and everything after that. Even I give him away for free on Twitter or FIFA. I did. I quick sold him. But he's a prick. Anyway, I know we can cause them frustrations and problems and things, but they still have a great squad. Let's be fair to it, mate. They've got Neto's on 4, Pedro's on what's he called? Not Pedro. There's Neto and fucking hell, forgive me, forgot. Let me have a look. And then Pedence, obviously, if he's playing, I know he's in and out at the minute. And then who else have you got? You've got
Priori,
you've got a wealth of experience in that squad, mate. You got a wealth of experience.
Obviously, Jimenez will still be injured and stuff. After that horrific skull injury, and I think that's why they aren't having such a good season this season. He did make them tick, and I think they are missing him. But I think we do sometimes struggle against Traore simply because we struggle against pace. But I say we struggle against him. He can get past the defenders. Neves. He can get past the defenders quite well. But even if he's playing on a up Townley on his own, he'll get to byline every single time, but he can't. He's got no end product. So I think we always tend to be all right with him, even though we struggle with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's powerhouse in it. And then you got even that like Willie Ozed. I know they like you said, they're not striking on all cylinders without Jimenez, but they signed him as like an 18-year-old, one of the top goal scorers or something daft like that, I think it was. He had some sort of record in Portuguese league. And he signed him for mega money. So he's obviously got a lot to live up to still yet, but they won't pay that money if he weren't a serious threat or a potential to be a serious threat.
No, of course not. Maybe he's struggling with the physicality of the Premier League, that old cliche.
Oh, he'll find it easier against Ben Mee and Tarky than kicking lumps out of him. But no, it's one of them. I'll go back to the original question: easy point, or you take a pointer there. If we play that, yeah, definitely. But I've still got this feeling that they can turn it on, and they're due a performance at the minute because they haven't really been.
Yeah, they can turn it on. To be fair, they do tend to struggle against us historically, though. Recently, we've had a few draws at Molineux. We've had a few victories against them at the Turf. I don't know. I was confident going into that Southampton game and that backfired, and I was confident going into the Newcastle game. So I'm not going to go as far as saying I'm confident because of the last three results. I'm not, but the confidence has come back slightly, thanks to that Manchester United performance. And I'm hoping that the change of formation could do us a bit of good. Like you say, I know I'm not going to say 4-4-2 is dead because obviously, like you say, we have had success with it in the past. But, we've got different personnel now. We've got better wingers. Even though they've been here all the time, JBG's fit at the minute. And McNeil's getting older. And now you've got different people in midfield as well. You don't have a Hendrick or something like that. You've got three, in my opinion, decent midfielders. None of them are world beaters or probably going to rip up any trees. But you've got three decent, hard-working midfielders in there, and that can probably really help a three-man in midfield system. I know it's technically five, but three-man in the middle of the park system, because they'll work so hard that they'll always get that ball back and then get it to Westy or Corky, and he can then start, or they can start spraying him around, get it wide, and then hunt forward impacts. So you can defend impacts and hunt forward impacts as well. So I'm hoping that the change of formation could sort of like do us good going forward into this weekend, should I say.
It seemed to do us really well with the wingers, in particular. Like I said, the threat that they had, we let them have the ball out there. But then as soon as we got into our shape, there was three to get through, and it was really good. And against people like Adama that are going to try and stretch you, it possibly is one of the better formations to take away from home against them. But individually, mate, there were some good performances. You got we mentioned earlier, Chris Wood nailed it. Lautz, brilliant. Tarky got a lot of mentions on Twitter, I saw, for being really good. And then, like you said, Jack Court, everyone were like, oh, fucking hell, how much have we missed that? They were only a few weeks ago. They were saying, nah, he's gone now. He'll not get back in this squad.
Yeah, I've noticed with Brownhill and Corky, though, it does tend to be like that. They'll have a couple of weeks where everyone's praising him and singing the praises, and rightly so. Then a couple of weeks where they have a few quiet games, and that's it. People are like, actually asking the question, like, what does Jack Cork actually bring us? Or what? I saw one today, like literally someone asking the question today on Twitter, like, what does Brownhill actually bring us? He's had 2 bad games, mate, in a Burnley shirt, and he was class before that, and a lot of people were singing his praises, and yeah, so it's interesting to see how that 3-man midfield will work going forward.
We were on the phone the other day, weren't we? And I said it come up on the Sky Sports thing that he's got the second most interceptions in the Premier League, Brownhill. So that's what he brings you, mate. Tweet that.
Yeah, if I find that guy again, I'll tweet him. I already forgot who it is. Apologies to keep looking over, Simon. I've just been watching the Villa City game, but it's full time now. So you have my full attention. I'll turn it off. There you go. The telly's off. So no more looking over the shoulder there. If you're watching on the VODCAST, if you are watching on the VODCAST and you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are on around 430 subs now, so I'm hoping to get another 70 by the end of the season and maybe get to 500. I think I've said previously like 1,000 for the end of the season, but I think at this stage there's like 7 games left. It's not going to happen. Obviously, before we get onto the fan reaction and then move into the chat about the failed coup by the Super League teams, is I just want to quickly bring in the league table because I just get rid of that Pitch Sport banner. Sorry, guys at Pitch. I will bring it back. Please don't be angry at that. we are officially now like the closest team to Fulham. We are in 17th. It's 6 points now. And even though we have played well recently, you can't help but look over your shoulder, can you? I mean, I know I'm a bit more negative than you, I think it's fair to say, but just looking at that, you've got to be looking over your shoulder at that. So for those of you that are watching on the podcast, of course, Sheffield United at the bottom, already gone, forget about that. And then you've got West Brom on 24 points in 19th. Then in Fulham are on 27 points in 18th. Then we are the only side now, the side directly above Fulham outside the relegation places in 17th on 33 points. So your gap to Fulham is now 6 points. But their goal difference is better than ours. So if they win 2 games and we continue to lose every single week, like we are doing at the minute, the last 4 games, according to this, actually, we've lost. And then you've got Brighton, who drew last night at the time of recording this against Chelsea on 34. Newcastle have started to pull away a little bit on 35, and then Southampton on 36, and then Palace on 38. But I think you can discount Southampton and Palace, I think. Because they're going to be 9 points in front of Fulham, and that's Fulham winning 3 games to catch them. And I can't see Fulham winning 3 games, which is a shame because if we'd have held on to one of them, I'd be saying that about us. But yeah, definitely looking over our shoulder, I think, at the minute. I know I am anyway.
No, 100%. To be fair, mate, I'm not normally one to say it, but I do feel concerned to a degree because I think if Fulham just get that win, I mean, it's worth mentioning, by the way, that we're all worried about Fulham, but they are still in a very poor form.
Yeah, you can even see the form on that there. They had a good result against Arsenal, but before that, they lost 4 in a row.
You know, Arsenal are all over the place at the minute. Brighton got a good draw against Chelsea, a very good draw there, to be fair to him. But again, not necessarily flying in general. West Brom, you know, they're a dark horse, but they are coming up behind with a good couple of wins there, mate. You never know. But my concern is if Fulham win, right, and that gap goes to 3 points, irrelevant and games in hand, that pressure mounts, mate. And knowing that we've got Fulham, say they win this weekend, we get beat, and we've still got that game in hand. That's fine, but then we've got Fulham, mate, and then shit gets.
And they win that, they go above us.
The shit gets real, then, doesn't it? That's like, my god.
It's when it's this close. Yeah. I'm sorry, you can't. People will still sit there. And ultimately, if someone said to me now, "Do you think we will go down?" I'm still saying no. I think we'll stop. I still think we have enough points, but it's far too close for comfort, and we shouldn't be in this position. We should be on 39 points. We should be above Palace, and we should be beating Wolves this weekend. If we beat Wolves this weekend, going above them. That's the position we should be in because we threw them games against Newcastle and Southampton away. So that's why I'm more annoyed of it. If we were just shit all season, then I wouldn't be as annoyed, but we haven't been, and we've been in a position where we should be away from it now, and we're just not. So definitely looking over my shoulder, I think.
Yeah, well, you got to take heart from it. Like you said, there's 2 games there we probably should have won. And a very good performance against Manchester United. So let's take heart from it. Let's take perspective on it. It is just a couple of bad results where we don't normally slip up like that anyway.
No, I brought Fulham's fixtures on screen now. So again, if you're listening on the podcast, I'll just read them out for you. So next, Fulham have got Chelsea at Chelsea. Obviously, Brighton have just got a result there, so that is possible. I know we got absolutely annihilated by Chelsea twice this season, and we don't never seem to recently in the last few recently get results at Stamford Bridge. And I think it's always good to be playing one of the top 6 at the minute because of everything that's gone on, as we found out with Brighton last night. And to be fair, Villa nearly got a result against City. Then they've got us. Obviously, we all know about that. Then they've got Southampton away. And then they've got Man United away, and then they've got Fulham at home. So I don't know. Fulham are playing Fulham at home, Newcastle at home. So I think they'll get beat tomorrow on Saturday. But that's one there. Burnley's a winnable game to them. Of course, they'll see that as a winnable game
at their ground. Yeah.
Yeah. So Southampton's a winnable game because they're hit and miss at the minute. Ever since that Burnley game, I think they've been a bit poor. Yeah. United, they'll probably get beat there. And then they got Newcastle on the final day. I was hoping that Newcastle game on the final day could be something that we could just watch and see 2 teams battle it out. But it's looking like Newcastle, you'd think, could be safe by then. But I think Newcastle have got an even more difficult run of fixtures, haven't they? I'm not entirely sure. I'll just get them up now. But what do you think of Fulham's fixtures?
Well, like you said, they've already, we just need to put the final nail in the coffin when you look at that. If I'm honest with you,
if we get 3 points against Wolves, I'm 100% certain we'll say.
Do you know what? Yeah. I'm even saying just don't get beat. Just don't get beat. That's simple as that. If you don't get beat there, you get a draw. It might not be pretty, it might not be a thingy, but let's start again next season.
Yeah, because then it's 3 games again.
Yeah.
At the minute, it's only 2 games because if they win them 2, their goal difference is better than ours, I think. So then they'll go above us. Whereas if it's 3 games, if they get 2 wins and a draw in their last 5 games, and I think they've won about 5 or 6 games all season, so it'd take a big turnaround for that. Yeah, and to be fair, we should be good at not getting beat because we've done that before. We're quite a solid side, and you'd think that we'd be good at setting up not to lose. But I think recently some of the performances have made me think that, and especially with the pressure as well. I know you've mentioned it, but the pressure is if it's mounted, then it's tough, isn't it? You're going to start making mistakes and things like that. So. It's one of them with the Fulham game. Hopefully, we're not in a bad position when we come to playing. But there's Newcastle fixtures on screen now. So they've got Liverpool away next, defeat. Then they've got Arsenal at home. Arsenal are hit and miss. Then they've got Leicester away, probably defeat. City at home. It's a shame Newcastle beat us. It's such a shame Newcastle beat us. Look at them fixtures. They've would be serious. It's such a shame that we threw that game away. They would be pretty much
on paper they buried, could win the next 4. Maybe get a win at Sheffield.
And then that Fulham game that obviously could have been so big. It's so disappointing we threw that game away. Because we threw that game away, then they went and beat West Ham, as you can see on screen now. I just had to scroll up because I couldn't remember. So that's given them the confidence. And then they'd have been pretty much out. I'd have been saying Newcastle are going down right now if they had a.
Tell you what, if the saviour of Saint Maximum didn't come into the frame, I'll tell you, he did it against West Ham as well. He went down in that first, didn't he? Like, 10 minutes? And I thought, oh shit, he's going off here. But then he was like running at him at 100 mile an hour again 2 seconds later.
Yeah, he tell you what, and it's such a shame because we were looking at him when he played for Nice, and it's all. I know we say this about everybody. Same with Andy Robertson, same with Harry Maguire. We were looking at them, but we never do anything about it. So it's such a shame. Anyway, that's me and Simon's thoughts on the current state of the relegation battle, and of course the Manchester United defeat. Here's what some of the Burnley fans had to say on the Manchester United defeat.
Good evening from New Zealand. One lonely New Zealand cleric checking in tonight. Martin is still on his holidays. I think he's been on holidays for about 3 weeks now. It's all right for some. Anyway, moving on briefly and quickly. Man United 3, Burnley 1. Disappointing, but not really surprising, really. Manchester United have been in good form. I would have bitten your arm off for a draw before this game. Alas, it wasn't to be. I thought we played pretty well in places. We were unlucky, really. It was that second goal that really took the wind out of our sails. Up until then, the clock was ticking down, and I thought that we could have got a result. I thought we could have got a draw. A draw would have been a fantastic result for us, given what had happened at Arsenal earlier on. But that second goal, which was a deflection off Cork's heel, I think it was, it just changed the game, and we didn't have any answer for it. You knew when United got their noses in front that was probably going to be it. Interesting to see that Daesh changed the formation. He put five across the midfield. Let's be honest, Daesh isn't known for his tactical flexibility, so that was an interesting one, and I thought it worked on the whole. Definitely having that extra body in the midfield kind of helped us, repel United. Obviously, Brownhill was trying to get forward and support Wood. It worked until the second goal, and then that was it, really. Our goal was great, it's typical Burnley. Where a cross comes in from the corner, and Tarky just shows more desire from the United defenders. And Harry Maguire, 80 million quid. You're having a laugh. I mean, really, you're having a laugh. So disappointed about it, but not unsurprised, really. we've got to keep looking forward. We've still 6 points between us and Fulham, with a game against, is it Fulham? No, is it Wolves next? Wolves next, and then West Ham, and then Fulham. So, we can still do it, guys. It's looking very tight. I'm not panicking yet, but, we've got to start picking up points pretty soon. Anyway, goodbye from New Zealand, and keep the faith, up the Clarets.
Hey up, Clarets! How we doing? Anti-football here? So that were a poor do at Old Trafford, weren't it? Eh? Oh, I thought we were on for a pigging point there. Think we deserved a point, really, didn't we? Well, they went, bloody takes a jammy bastard deflection, doesn't it, to beat us? Again? Just like Pogba deflected one at Turf, didn't he? Oh, bloody shame that. I don't know. And that goal in first bloody minute of Woody's chalked off, weren't it, with VAR? Oh, I thought that were a bit bloody suspicious to me. You ever noticed how some at games you get live VAR lines, don't you? They show them doing it there, drawing them on screen. Look, that's there, he's offside. You're like, oh, all right, fair enough. But no, it was. It's just like, oh, there's a VAR check. What is there? What's going on? And then, no goal, carry on. Like, what? How? Show us. Let's have a look. And then, like, 10 minutes later, they throw up a little still image, don't they? With lines drawn and his toenail just, oh, look there, his toenail's just over the line. Oh, yeah? Why does it take you 10 minutes to fucking get that together? Eh? Dodgy bastards. Doctoring it, aren't they? To cheaters. That's what I reckon. Anyway, we're meant to be. But we did all right on whole, didn't we? Eh? We change of formation. Normally, when Dash fiddles with formation, it don't bode well, do we? We don't usually do right well, going away from 4-4-2. But I thought we did all right, not too bad. But, well, you still conceded 3 big goals, didn't we? But it were more down to bad luck today, weren't it, against United? So, yeah, not too disheartened after the game. I thought keeping it well, Peaky, what we calling him? Peaky? Cocky? Faz? I don't know. Some are calling him BPF or whatever. It's a bit of a mouthful for me, that. But Peaky, I'm calling him. We got Poppy, we got Peaky. I thought he'd done well. I think it's good, really, that we've had a chance to see if he's up to it, Because, God forbid Pope gets snapped up by someone else in summer. We know we've got a lad there who can step into his boots. So, well played, lad. Pulled off a few decent saves, I thought. And, anyway, at end of the day, it weren't so bad, were it? Because, thank fuck for Arsenal. Never thought I'd hear myself say that. Oh, but I knew it. I knew they'd put in a shit performance after doing well in Europe and then coming back bloody jet-lagged, 2-hour flight. Lazy fuckers. And then bloody, just thank fuck Fulham fucked it again in last minute. It's like 7th minute of injury time, wasn't it? Oh, well, at that point I thought, oh God, it's going to be down to 4 points. Oh, my tits were twitching, they were. I thought, oh no, I can't handle this, I can't handle it. But still 6 points now. They're not gonna catch us. They need to get more than a point a game.
So there we have it. That was the fan reaction from Manchester United 3 and Burnley 1. So thank you to everybody who got involved with that. Right, obviously we've done the Man United game. We've kind of done the Wolves game. I will try and do a pre-game show this week because, like I said earlier, I'm off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I should have time to sit down and do a live stream for you all. So we've done our part on the Wolves game. We'll do a prediction later on as well. But I think, obviously, it'd be silly of us to ignore everything that's gone on this week. So let's talk about the European Super League, or should I say the failed attempt at the European Super League, because it does... We kind of missed the boat a little bit because we record on Wednesday nights. But in the same sense, I'm glad we've waited at the same time because, we've got the whole picture. Now it's failed. Like if we'd have recorded this yesterday and put something out, it'd have been dead already because when you're going, oh, this cannot happen. And obviously it's not going to happen now. or at least that version of it, what they've tried to do, isn't going to happen. I think we all know that these owners, even though they've all come, apologising and things like that, I'm not buying it. They tried to do the Project Big Picture, should I say, not Big Sixture, last year. Now they've tried to do this. But I want to go back to something I said on the watch-along the other day, because I know I said I do think the Premier League will be a more competitive and ultimately entertaining place, but I never at any point sort of like suggested that I feel like it would be good for the league. Obviously, we will... Everyone in the Premier League would lose a lot financially if broadcasters took it in a positive way, like they wanted the European Super League. It was good to see a lot of broadcasters come out and criticise it. Amazon Prime released a statement. Fair enough, their statement stopped short of saying we will not be purchasing the broadcasting rights, but they'd have looked very hypocritical if they then started bidding for it after the statement that they released. Same with Sky Sports and Gary Neville and Carragher and things like that. And the same with BT, because all of their pundits were slagging it off. Left, right, and centre. So all of them would have looked very, very hypocritical. But again, I think the problem would have been is they'd have just created their own streaming service, like the Premier League probably should have done 10 years ago anyway, like the NBA and the NFL have. But thankfully, the project is dead. All of the 6 English clubs have pulled out. I think Atletico Madrid have pulled out, AC Milan have pulled out, and I think Inter have pulled out at this stage. I think there's only 3 teams left: Barca, Real, and Juventus. So it's obviously not going to go ahead, is it? But I think that goes to show. I think Real aren't going to pull out because it's their president's idea, isn't it? What's it called? Perez or something like that. Fiorentina Perez. Apologies if I've absolutely butchered that name or got it wrong. But what were your thoughts on it all then, like from start to finish? Because it were, like you said earlier, an entertaining week, weren't it?
Absolutely. Like there's so much to go through, really. So I suppose the best place to start at the beginning. When I heard about it, I was mortified. I was gutted because I said to you, we had that little debate, which I loved it. In fact, I quite like looking at objective point of views instead of subjective. But the matter of fact is, I stand by what I said. The reason I was gutted is I didn't dream when I was sat on Chesterfield away in no roofs in Macclesfield and things like that of watching match at day and being in a Premier League team to then become the second tier with no ever avenue to get into the first tier again. I mean, things can be snatched out of his hands, and we're only on borrowed time for the last 5 years anyway. So who's to say that that a new league wouldn't happen and we would get left behind? But the fact that we couldn't ever get in it was just soul destroying, because what's it all for? We would become a Segunda League and the B-sides would be playing in the Premier League. It would be absolutely catastrophic for the pyramid system of just our nation, never mind everyone else's.
Yeah, so, I think the best thing that we could have done in this country was just, like you said, because they obviously wanted to break away and do this league and stay in the Premier League. In that scenario, what you're saying is correct. They would then start using it as B-sides. And then I think you said on the watch along, where you might have said it onto the phone to me this week, but then they'll start loaning players out to teams like, Villa, Burnley, or whatever. The teams left in it say, right, you have a contract here with this guy, you have to play X amount of times, and then we get X amount of money, or give you X amount of money, or whatever.
Yeah, we earn our money, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was good to see. A lot of the talk about it was, right, if you want to go to this league, you're not allowed to play in the Premier League. And I think in that scenario, I think it wouldn't have felt like a second-rate league. I think like how there's rugby league and rugby union, it's sort of like the same sport but different codes and sort of slightly different rules. I think that's what eventually would have ended up happening. I think it'll still be football, but it'll be called, like, I don't know, super football or whatever, some daft name that they'll give it. And they'll slightly tweak it for themselves.
Well, I was worried as well, like that it could become the format of what American football is, where their version of football, not soccer, where you become sort of like university teams. Like Burnley would become an area, so you've got to basically get drafted and all that. So, and I know that's very Americanism, and you think, oh no, the British wouldn't have gone for that. But what I'm worried about is the fact that would that be the only appeal that we had to be a footballer? Is the fact that we can offer you a higher, Div 1. They do this in America at college level, Div 1, Div 2, and then the Super League, or the NFL in their case, look at them to get the next draft of players. Yeah. Because it's all stats based, and when you see what the Americans are doing and what our Americans are doing, and they're coming over with all this artificial intelligence, and you think to yourself, this is very similar territory already, never mind with the Super League. So that were my first emotions anyway. My second emotions were, once I sort of like digested it, is I do not want this to happen, and I stand by that. That narrative of this is bad for Burnley was my thought process through the whole of this, by the way. So I'll just clarify that. But then I thought to myself, I've always thought that this is actually a good idea. And it's kind of contradictory to what I'm saying. But my thought is that the concept of this division is what should happen in football, really, because it's evolution of sport. It's evolution of business.
I think the competition, some competitions do, competitions evolve and stuff. That's fine. I think everyone can respect that. Look at when we created the Premier League in 1992, but there's evolving competition and making competition better, and then there's completely monopolising sport. You can't say to everybody, right, this is the best league in the world now, but you will never play in it. It's physically impossible for you to get in it. Like, it's not, all right, it's extremely unlikely that we will see Burnley play against Barcelona at the Nou Camp in the Champions League, but it's still possible. Alan Pace might win, some weird rich man lottery the other day and become a multi-billionaire and then be able to splash loads of cash on us, or some, Middle Eastern prince might want to buy us and things like that. So it can happen. Look at Leicester. Obviously, Leicester fans would have said the exact same thing. The story of Leicester, which at the time is one that I watched with such jealous, envious eyes, was still amazing, because it just shows that it can happen. And they didn't even, obviously they had rich owners and stuff, but they didn't really have like a City sort of like tycoon or whatever, or a QPR sort of like tycoon like they had in the past. Obviously they didn't get anywhere near that. So I don't mind chat about competitions evolving, and I understand what you're saying on that sense. But to have a competition and then to completely monopolise it, and I think that the main thing is to completely ruin the integrity of sport. I think Pep said it this week. He said, "Sport is sport," sport isn't sport if the effort doesn't match the reward. So if obviously they put a lot of effort in to then go on to win the league, or they buy all the best players, or all these players as individuals become the best because of the amount of effort that they put in. That's why they get these rewards. If there's no reward for all that effort and you're just going to get it anyway, then that's not sport. There's no integrity of competition there, and I think that was obviously the main problem with it. I do understand what you're saying. Competitions do need to evolve. Maybe the Champions League needs to evolve, and it has done this week, and I don't like it, so they can evolve it again. But yeah, I think the fact that you can't get there was obviously the big no-no.
So this is what I've said to absolutely everybody who's rang me this week, or who I've spoke to, and yourself included, that the actual concept is probably right. It is probably the next sort of big thing that we can do in this sport. Transport and things, we're all connectable far easier than we've ever been, country to country outside of COVID. It's just, it's as quick to get to Barcelona as it is for us to get to London from Burnley. Do you know what I mean? It's that's the way it is now. So the concept is correct. And I think that they've come up with a good idea. However, I've said from day one, the format of it is atrocious. The fact that it's a boys' club, it's a billionaires' boys' club, is what it is.
Yeah,
it's like you can the teams that they've picked show that it's a boys' club. Tottenham won fuck all. Arsenal won.
The fact with Arsenal, you kind of get it. But Tottenham, the last time they won the league was a year after we last won it. They've won nothing since the 1980s or maybe 1991. They might have won the FA Cup in 91. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I've not got it in front of me. But how they can be in it, Atletico Madrid as well.
They've only won it once in 20 years, 24 years.
That's what I mean. I was shocked to see Atletico Madrid in it. I thought it was just the two Spanish teams. So they're the only two Spanish teams that are probably worthy of being in something like that. Not that anybody should be worthy of being in it anyway, but you know what I mean. The big clubs. With Arsenal, you get it. City as well. With City and Tottenham and Chelsea, they have historically not been big clubs. Chelsea and City, especially, they've only recently had recent success. I know they've won stuff in the past and stuff, but that's because of the money that they've had. Well, yeah, so have, I was going to say Middlesbrough then, but they haven't. So have Blackburn and Preston, you know what I mean? But so basically, it's a case of all these rich men that are currently the richest owners, that's why the clubs are doing the best, just want to make sure that their Champions League money is protected. Not the Champions League money, because obviously they were moving, but their money that they were going to get on a yearly basis was protected. Because if you look at the league now, Arsenal probably aren't going to qualify for the Champions League. Tottenham probably aren't going to qualify for the Champions League. Having said that, they won tonight, so I don't know what the league table is at the top at the minute. Liverpool struggling, probably will, but struggling. They want to make sure that if they have a bad season, they're still going to get 250 million quid. That's essentially all it is. They are protecting their investment. And I saw something that a Leeds podcast shared this week on Twitter and Instagram. Instead of calling it the Super League, it was called the League of Debt, because every single one of them clubs is in multi-million pounds worth of debt. Some of them, and Barcelona, I think, is over £1 billion. Exactly. They're just protecting. They're making sure that they will always have a revenue stream. And if that's the case, fine. Don't run a football club. If you want a successful business, don't run a football club. Go and buy go and buy Dell computers, whatever, and run Dell computers and do it that way. I don't know why I thought of Dell computers, but I just did. But yeah, that's not sport. I know sport does make a lot of money, but it's not. You shouldn't have a guaranteed revenue stream by ruining the integrity of competition. That's just off limits, and you shouldn't. That's just absolutely disgraced. And I'm glad, obviously, as everyone is, apart from like 3 people in Spain and Italy, that it's collapsed.
So like obviously going through continuing the emotions of it. So that was the first, then the second, that Derry won once I sort of digested it. It's something that I've said for years that possibly could happen. When we heard whispers of it even 2 years ago, didn't we? And then to hear that it's not happening and that it's not going to there's a sense of relief. I'm buzzing because I think that it's imperative that we survive this Premier League for Burnley's evolution in the game. But then I also think that these are sleeping giants, mate. These ain't going away. This is going to be revised. It might not be this year. We might even get away with it for 4 or 5 years now because of the uproar that it's caused. And how proud I am that not just fans, but rival fans came together. Bitter fans like Man United and Leeds and Liverpool and all came together and caused this instant stoppage of something. Like I've never seen anything like it, and it's incredible to see. But it will come back on the table. It will come back to the table, 100%. But hopefully it'll be revised. And you know what? If they said this is the league as it stands right now, and then every year they do a Champions League-esque qualifiers where you get to play the bottom team or the bottom 2 teams in that division, whoever wins the tournament. You know what I mean? So, for example, Rangers would be playing against West Ham as it stands at 4th. And things like that, and you have a knockout stage, and then if you win, you get to play the bottom 2 teams or something.
Even so basically, you wouldn't mind it if there was a way of actually qualifying for it. Yeah, like you said, it's just a billionaire boys club, isn't it? I'm not plugging the brand there. The billionaire boys club make. I'm saying that's exactly what it is.
It's 100% that. It's the equivalent of going back into fucking Irish league where it used to say no women or children allowed over this line. You are not allowed in this place. That is as backwards as this sounds to me, saying you are not allowed in here unless you've got enough money. I don't care how skillful you are. I don't give a shit about what you've won in the past. If you can't pay your way in, you ain't coming in. That don't make sense for me, that. Not in sport.
RIP to the Irish League, that were a class working men's club. But
they still had that sign up when they
I know they did. Yeah. So what next then? Because you're saying it'll still happen. I totally agree with that. They've tried it. They tried Project Big Picture, like I said, a couple of years ago. There's always been talk about this breakaway league and stuff. And yeah, they've come out and apologised, but they're just doing it because they're worried about loss of revenue and things like that. And
share prices have plummeted.
Exactly, yeah. Man United share price dropped like an absolute stone. I bought a couple, and I didn't. I should have done. Probably going back up now. Yeah. So what now? Because obviously no German club did it, because Bayern Munich and Dortmund and the big clubs over in Germany have the 50+1 model, which basically means that they are majority owned by fans. Obviously, they'll get investment and stuff from the 49%. So basically, obviously, if a club makes a decision on themselves, as I'm sure this was the case with Arsenal, Liverpool and stuff, obviously it's the shareholders that will make that decision. But obviously, I don't know if that was the case for this, though. I think it was just the owners. But I'm saying for the German clubs, obviously the shareholders can't push something through that's just completely business-based and ridiculous, because the fans will have the majority share, so they can stop it. So is that something you want us to do? Or because that sounds like a way that we could stop it, though.
No, I agree with it because of the morals and the principles and etc. But then on the flip side of that, you can't then say you can't really have someone else in charge of your money and your decisions. I don't feel like that's a fair thing. I don't think, for example, Chelsea fans right now are in uproar. They're called for the sacking of, I can't remember his fucking name, sorry, but the sacking of the chairman, right? So they want to sack the chairman. They said, get him out, blah, blah, blah. He's bad for the club. Roman Abramovich is the man who would have said, yes, you could use this money to go and you go in the Super League, 100%, right? But they're not calling for his head because he's the one who provides the money.
Yeah,
because he's the one who's making that club one of the people that could even be in the top 6. Daniel Levy, people like that, and for all these his negatives. Look at Woodward. Ed Woodward has stepped down. Right, he stepped down because he's been made to look a fucking idiot because he's been probably told by the Glazers, listen, this is on the table, make it happen. He's gone and said, I've got this offer. Do you want to join this league? They've said yes. Then they've told him to pull out of it. And he said, well, I look a fucking an idiot now. And then they've said, basically, go and hang yourself out to dry. So he said, no, I'm walking.
I don't know. I was talking to someone at work the other day. Ed Woodward is probably the best in the world. He is a dick and he's a snake, but he is probably the best in the world at what he does.
Yeah.
That's not good for a fan. That's good for a business, but that's not good for a fan. I think there's more to it. I think maybe what won't surprise me is, like I said, because I think they are going to try it again, but I think they know that now fans won't allow it. So, and there's all these teams that obviously have fans, and they're also under legislation from UEFA, FIFA, the Premier League, and the FA, or whatever it is. So they're planning on. This is just hearsay. This is not even hearsay. It's just my brain working. Maybe they could just now, they're going to create like new clubs or something, or like franchises, as it were, in America. Like that's what Beckham's done. He's created a franchise. He's gone and created Inter Miami. So maybe that's something that they could do now. They could create this Super League with brand new football clubs and just create football clubs like, I don't know, the Paddy and Predators in the Super League. I think that's why he's left.
Yeah,
I think he's left because he still wants part of this, and he knows he can't do it at Manchester United. So he's going to create a franchise. Or I'm not going to call it a club because it's not a club. It'll be a franchise. And I think the Juventus equivalent of Ed Woodward apparently resigned, but then Juventus denied it. So I don't know what the crack is there. So it's looking like these sort of people might be pulling out of it.
We don't even know if Woodward actually.
United officially released a statement saying he is
today. Because I checked last night and they were like, they released a statement. I don't even know.
They released a statement, but he's not leaving till the end of 2021 or the end of this. It's not the end of the season; it's the end of 2021. So it must some sort of like contractual obligations or whatever. But I think that's the next step. I think they'll still do it, but just create franchises from scratch to do it.
Yeah, well, for fair play to off your pop, bloody Guernsey and Alamantor or something, and
hey, that Alamantor were class.
Make little teams on these little islands because that's the only place you're going to get away with it.
Alaman 11.
Alaman 11, yeah, the Guernsey Kickers.
That's terrible. I only said Alaman 11 because that were a team that Burnley actually got beat by once when I went to it. I don't know if it were an actual team or just 8 people that they found on a park at Alaman plus 3 dogs or something that were just.
It's because the players were always together in that pub all that, and then they go and play.
And I went to watch Burnley play against him, and they got beat against him. But yeah, so what next then? If you don't like the 50+1 model, how do we stop it from doing it? Do we need Borgio to put some legislation in there, or do we just need the Premier League and the FA to come down on them like a ton of bricks and just say? But for me, I think you need new rules created to prevent this. Like if you ever try and do something like this, you are immediately expelled from the leagues or whatever. Having said that, if you expel them, they've got free reign to go and join it, haven't they? So that won't work. So what do you think we should do? How do we stop this from potentially happening again or rearing its ugly head again? Because as we both said, we both think it will happen again, or they'll try and do it again.
Yeah, I don't think you can stop it. I think it is business at the end of the day, and we've allowed this to become this over the years because we're quite happy to take the money off them. We're quite happy to see the best players in the world being brought in, and it's all well and good when we're allowed to spend the money. But when they want to bring it back in, all of a sudden we're in uproar. So again, just to re-clarify, for my club, which is Burnley, it is catastrophic if it happens. However, the Americans are in now. We've got these new owners. We are going to see differences. We're already seeing shifts in the way that they're recruiting people. If they then start saying, here's 100 million to spend, are you telling me that Burnley fans are going to go, well, let's have a majority shareholder when it comes to other things and things like that? I don't think it's quite fair to say, right, we'll take your money, but then we decide what we're doing with it. I don't know if that's quite fair.
Fair enough. Interesting to see how it rumbles on. Like I said, I think that's the next step. I think they'll just create sort of like a rugby union, rugby league sort of thing where the football is slightly different, and they'll do it with their own franchises that they made from scratch.
Chelsea, fucking hell, sorry. China have done it. China have created Shanghai's bloody 11 and all these. Yeah. And they've done it, and they've ploughed money in, and they've offered 500 grand a week to get the richest, best players in the world, but they're not. They're just getting people that are weighing themselves in before they finish. And people play for the badge. And like you said it, and we said it on the phone the other day, that they wouldn't become Manchester United if they moved over to the Super League. It would be the Red Devils against the Lions and etc. It'd be Americanized, and it wouldn't be the same. But fair play to them if they want to do it another way.
What did you make of Alan Pace's reaction to it all? Because he came out and I thought the club took a while in condemning it, but I also understand why they waited the amount of time they did. They did it after the meeting of the other 14 clubs. Yep. So there are a few people sort of like whinging, but I understood why they were waiting. But when they did come out, Alan Pace released, quite a damning statement to say he's frustrated and even angered by it and things like that. He went on 5 Live, he went on Sky Sports. So what do you make of his reaction?
I think it's just to be fair, mate, I'm not going to lie. I think it's just a reaction of someone who's thinking, I've got a shitload of money in this club now that could be worth fuck all next year if these clubs leave. So that would be my reaction as well. He's granted, we could say what he wants about the way he purchased the club, but he still owns the shares that are worth X amount of millions and he hasn't been paid back for that yet. So he has an invested interest to make sure that this does not go ahead. The same as Gary Neville, by the way, who I think articulated himself unbelievably in these arguments, and the way he did it and the way he drove it, and he used the media for positivity to drive it, to get us all to rally together in peaceful protest, etc. But he's still got an invested interest, mate. He's not doing that because he fucking loves football. He's doing that because he's got a couple of million sat in Salford that's going to be worth nothing if this happens.
Yeah, fair enough. And obviously, I fully respect Gary Neville. I'm happy that him and Carragher. Yeah, I'm happy that him and Carragher did what they did. I think that was the start of it all. Obviously, the fans were outraged. Yeah, that was the start of it all. The driving force. That's a perfect way of putting it. The fact that he did that, then Sky Sports clips it up. That Football Daily, probably that 443 accounts. They all clipped it up, stuck it out there. Then everyone else were like, he's annoyed, I'm annoyed as well. Yeah, so we'll kick off about this, and that's what caused all the protests and things like that. So yeah, even if he does have an invested interest, still fair play. He's done the right thing, and I thought,
and the same with Alan Pace.
Yeah, I'm going to say, and I thought Alan did the right thing as well, even if he has an invested interest or not.
But
yeah, of course we would. Anything else you want to add on the Super League before I quickly get on to the Wolves predictions?
To be honest with you, I've got so much more to say on it, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah. Wolves then, we've already had a quick preview. What's your predictions for it?
1-0 Burnley.
Going 1-0 Burnley. I can't back a win again. I've been backing wins left, right and centre. I don't think we'll get beat though. I'm going in with a bit more confidence than I was the Man United game, and I'm feeling a bit better about the game than I did after the 2 shambolic games against Southampton and Newcastle. So I think we'll get a point. We tend to do well against Wolves. We just need Fulham. We just need Fulham to keep slipping up. We can't have them hit form while we're stuttering. We're stuttering at the wrong time. I think we'll get a point though, but obviously we need Fulham to get beat at Chelsea, and with everything going on at the minute, again, with Chelsea, I am a little bit worried. But that's it then, I think, for this week's podcast, unless there's anything you want to add, or you quickly just grab your phone then. I'm not sure if you've got something to say on there.
No, sorry, mate. Just checking. I'll tell you off air, but I'm on patrol.
Fair enough. Right, well, that's it for this week's podcast then. If you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe if you haven't already. If you're watching on Facebook as well on Friday night on the restream, and you haven't subscribed yet to the YouTube channel, please go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It'll mean a lot. We are, of course, can get sent Facebook stars on Facebook. So if you want to send us some stars, you can during this restream as well. They don't just have to be live videos. You can do it now on this restream as well. And I know a few people have been asking for Patreons. Hopefully by the time that this goes out on Facebook on Friday night, a Patreon will have been set up. If not, I'm definitely doing it this weekend because I've got 3 days off, like I said earlier in the show. And if you haven't already, please follow us on all the social media channels. If you are watching on Facebook and YouTube, they are, of course, at the bottom of your screen now. We are on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We're even on TikTok as well. We've done quite well on TikTok recently. I say recently. I put a video up about 2-3 weeks ago and it did very well. But I ain't touched it since. But that's it for this week's podcast. I'm going to try and do a pre-game show. You're free for a watch-along, aren't you, as we've said earlier? So we've got you. We've definitely got Kieran. Johnny's been a bit hit and miss recently. We'll see. Hopefully we can get Johnny involved as well. But that's it for this week's podcast. Hopefully if we don't see you for the pre-game show, we'll see you for the watch-along. If we don't see you for the watch-along, we'll see you for next week's podcast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you when we see you.